The cancellation of more than 200 wasteful contracts and the renegotiation of power agreements have saved millions of dollars while reducing sector debt. He made the disclosure during a weekend visit by the Vice President, Professor Nana Jinopokwajaman, to the ministry in Accra, where she commended the progress achieved and reaffirmed the government's commitment to long-term planning and accountability.
When we took over, the sector was choking from mounting debt. And this is a table from January to March. As at March, the total debt was over $3 billion in the energy sector. Then we decided that we needed to take some reforms. Fortunately, through your own initiative and that of the president, you gave me very, very good lieutenants. And so the first thing we did was to subject most of these contracts to value for money. For ECG alone, we subjected 347 contracts. And by the time we're done, we canceled 202 contracts valued at $227 million, 1.17 million euro, pounds, and then 4 million euro. And so that was a savings we made from that angle alone. Then I decided that as minister, I would direct that all monies should be paid into the cash waterfall account. What ECG used to do is that every week they borrow money from the banks to pay the IPPs. So I stopped that and told the IPPs, be patient. At the end of the month, we'll pay you. Through that process, we also renegotiated with the IPPs. And by renegotiating, we saved $250 million from the renegotiation. And then we reduced the energy sector debt by $500 million, pursued aggressive national electrification, and moved it to almost 90%. Which is normally the peak that you can get.
This is a good story, Mr. Minister, and the benefit goes to everybody. You know, looking at the solar, this also gives us the opportunity to review what we did in the past, what didn't work, and why we think it should work better now. You showed a certain slide showing, you know, what we need to do this year, next year, and so on. And this raised for me the importance of long-term planning, and for all of us sticking to long-term planning. That is one way in which we can solve problems of this country in effective and efficient ways. It also gives us the importance of solid planning, not fanciful words and so on, which sometimes don't send us where we need to be.
The Ministry of Education has assured the Ga State of including the Ga language and all Ghanaian languages on an AI-integrated learning platform. The Sector Minister, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, gave his word when he, together with the Deputy Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, called on the Gamanche King Takite Kutru at his palace in Accra.
On January 23, 2026, the Education Minister announced a government partnership with Google to integrate artificial intelligence tools in local languages into the national education system. The pilot, which will have only 3 Ghanaian languages, has triggered concerns, particularly from the Ga State, over the exclusion of the Ga language in the process. In response, the Education Minister, accompanied by the Deputy Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ritana Odele Soa, visited the Ga Manche, King Takite Kutru, and the Ga Traditional Council at the Ga Manche's Palace. The ministers assured the Ga State of government's respect and commitment, explaining that Ga and Dangbe would be included after the pilot phase, with 12 local languages expected on the platform by the end of 2026. The Ga Traditional Council presented an 8-point proposal calling for, among other things, the inclusion of Ga in the AI pilot project, compulsory teaching of Ga and Dangbe in Greater Accra, posting of language teachers, and a formal memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Education. The Ga Manche reaffirmed the Ga State's resolve to protect its language and culture and expressed optimism about continued collaboration.
Honorable Minister, if you get you more, what will about the potentially Hakeshi Wogan Dangbe more Eji money woji Kewo Kwen Wakra Wabawo Yumo machine. Sane, if I buy one, if I buy you know, I be come one.
Swampa.
Ogaba Jenny and now is said,
Mo.
Or you want to go here, small matter to me.
Nakai.
Someone can know if or call an account.
Yeah.
The Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, and Deputy Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ritana Odolesowa, assured the Council of Government commitment to roll out 12 Ghanaian languages onto the AI platform by the end of 2026.
It will be unthinkable for government to pursue the use of indigenous Ghanaian languages and exclude Ga-Dangme. What have been published in the last few hours is about my engagement with Google on Google's pilot AI recognition, AI language translation. We will integrate Ga-Dangme and 12 other official Ghanaian languages into the AI Gemini initiative of Google. I'm one of the strong advocates of the use of indigenous Ghanaian languages to improve learning outcomes at the foundational level of learning.
UNESCO, in partnership with the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, the Ministry of Works and Housing and Water Resources, and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, are working to strengthen Ghana's access to climate finance and promote climate resilient water investment. This collaboration is being implemented through a national dialogue on strategic planning under a project dubbed Strengthening Resilience to Water-Related Disasters Under Climate Change for a Sustainable Society in Ghana.
Ghana continues to face increasing climate risks, particularly floods and droughts. Recent events, including the Akosombo Dam spillage and persistent urban flooding, have underscored the urgent need to strengthen disaster risk reduction and climate adaptation measures. The Environmental Protection Agency is also developing Ghana's National Adaptation Plan. Together, these initiatives highlight the critical need to mobilize climate-resilient investments to protect lives and infrastructure. A national dialogue held in Accra brought together key stakeholders to assess climate vulnerabilities and flood risk, with the aim of making informed and guided policy decisions. The Japanese ambassador to Ghana, Yoshimoto Hiroshi, stated that Japan's grants and assistance through JICA are focused on delivering tangible benefits for Ghanaians. The National Professional Officer for the Natural Sciences sector at UNESCO, Madame Melody Esiawona Boateng, said the initiative seeks to strengthen Ghana's capacity to coordinate efforts and access climate finance through inclusive multi-stakeholder engagement.
UNESCO has carried out an assessment which using a methodology known as climate risk-informed decision analysis. And this methodology basically looks at historical data when it comes to issues of floods and drought.
The Deputy Director in charge of water management at the Water Resources Commission, Dr. Joachim Ayuwi Abumba, spoke of the ministry's readiness to prioritize and validate climate adaptation actions while fostering partnerships with development partners and the private sector.
We are using GIS-based softwares to generate these risk maps. And these risk maps, in them, we have embedded areas for evacuation routes, safe havens, that these communities can immediately identify when there's a risk and they can move in.
Stakeholders believe the dialogue will significantly support the government's efforts to address climate risk and build a more resilient future for Ghana.
Several structures within a protected Ramsar site at Peshi in Accra have been pulled down as authorities move to restore the wetland, which has been heavily encroached upon over the years.
Lagoon has witnessed destruction and is now a pale shadow of itself. Large portions have been recovered and sold to private and commercial developers. The hitherto active water body is now occupied by residential and business structures. Extensive portions of the lagoon have been filled with sand, construction debris, and garbage. Developers seem not to have any limits in their unrestrained character to plunder every available resource, damn the repercussions for the future of the environment. Information available suggests that demolition exercises aimed at restoring the Ramsar site, which has significantly reduced in size. This decision comes amid growing concerns about the environmental impact of unchecked human activities in these areas. But for some affected occupants, the demolition came with hardship and uncertainty. The occupants say while they understand the need to protect the environment, the sudden loss of their structures threatens their survival.
First Sky Group has announced that it will, by the end of March 2026, complete a 50-megawatt solar PV power station at Yendi in the northern region to generate and supply electricity to the national grid. The executive chairman of First Sky Group, Mr. Eric Sedi Kotoche, said the project reflects the company's commitment to building a future that is not only prosperous but sustainable, adding that renewable energy remains central to First Sky Group's long-term vision.
As transition towards renewable energy has received a major boost as work on the 50-megawatt solar power project in Yendi reaches an advanced stage, with the first phase of the project almost completed. The project reflects a deliberate national shift from conventional thermal power generation towards renewable energy, particularly solar, to help reduce electricity costs and expand sustainable power supply. The Yendi solar project is being developed in collaboration with the relevant authorities and is described as a flagship and landmark investment for the northern region. Beyond power generation, the project is delivering additional socio-economic benefits. As part of the construction works, road networks linking the solar farm to nearby communities in the Yendi area have been developed, improving accessibility and supporting local economic activity. Additionally, all the engineers working on this project are Ghanaians. Executive Chairman of First Sky Group, Mr. Eric Sedi Kotoche, explained that the project represents confidence in Ghanaian entrepreneurship and ownership, describing it as the first fully Ghanaian-owned utility-scale solar project of its kind. When completed, it will become the second largest solar installation in Ghana, complementing the 55-megawatt Bui solar project undertaken by the Bui Power Authority.
The Yendi
mining activities are conducted on our lands in a lawful and peaceful manner, and that both the company and our people receive our equitable share of valuable in terms of financial benefits and development.
The meeting also provided an opportunity for new members of the two traditional councils and company officials to have what was described as fruitful and forward-looking deliberations. Asin Kushia, noted for being one of the neatest towns in Ghana, is also home to what is said to be the largest palace in Africa, which has several tourist attractions, making it a magnet for sightseers.
Today at the Greater Accra Regional Headquarters of the National Democratic Congress, 5 aspirants filed their nomination forms to contest the NDC's Ayawaso East constituency primary scheduled for February 7, 2026. Of the 6 who had earlier picked nomination forms, Abdulsalam Daru withdrew from the race to throw his support behind Hajia Amina Adam, the widow of the late Member of Parliament of the area, Naza Turi Mahama.
At this particular moment, we've assessed the situation and we've seen that the candidate that is better placed to address the interests of the youth is Hajia Amina Adam. And we are not just saying it because of what you have said. I am saying it because I have worked with the late Honorable and I know how supportive Hajia is to the interests of the youth. So we have arrived at this decision based on this knowledge. It's not based on any interest. Okay. Only Allah knows what the future holds.
Let me make it clear that my motivation is not materialistic. My motivation is humanism and service to people. I am motivated to come down and serve my people. Even though I am serving the nation out there, I can assure you that there is a greater tax on me to come and serve my people. I believe my presence here will be more useful to my people and also to the nation even than my service at Nigeria. Not because I don't regard what is in Nigeria. I hold that position in high esteem. But when duty calls, where you are needed more, you need to respond to it. So I'm responding to the several calls by my people to come down and serve them.
As you can see, the majority of Nimanians are speaking. They have really sent their cry to Hajia and she has listened to them. This election that we are going, we have won, inshallah. And I'm telling you, Hajia is winning this election. That's why we are telling everybody to calm down. We are one family under one umbrella. We are not insulting anybody. We are not encouraging any insult. But what we should campaign is our message should be equal to what the party stands for.
Delegate, the main delegate, were calling on me. A lot of people were calling on me. I need to do some, ground check and everybody before showing my intention. That is why you could see the contesting I came in late.
Yes, this is the third time I'm competing to become the parliamentary candidate on the ticket of the NDC. And I believe the third time would be my lucky time. I have toiled all these years in the community. I have served since the 90s. I have been a community advocate. I have served in various capacities. I've done research. I've done public interest work in the community. And I believe the people would see through this time and grant me their mandate to represent them.
If you look at the candidates, they are all very quality candidates in their own right. And for us as a party where we sit, at the end of the primaries, any of them that is chosen is good to go for us. Yes. If you look at their background, if you look at their service to the community and so on and so forth, these are people that are really grassroots party members. And we believe that once the delegates decide, then we are good to go as a party.
Away from politics, the protection of the privacy of individuals and their personal data is the primary function of Ghana's Data Protection Commission. Data is simply information in the form of text, which includes emails or information in the form of audio, image or video of somebody in a digital form. The protection of such data helps the Data Protection Commission to gain or maintain public trust. This issue comes to the fore as the Commission begins its observance of the Data Protection Week 2026 from Monday, January 26th to Friday, January 30th. The week-long event is under the theme, Your Data, Your Identity, Building Trust in Ghana's Digital Future.
The week, the Data Protection Commission, established under the Data Protection Act 2012, Act 843, is emphasizing what it calls shared responsibility of citizens, businesses, and institutions to protect personal data and uphold privacy rights in an increasingly digitized environment. The Commission is also drawing attention to the risks of data misuse, unlawful processing, and the impact of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, biometrics, and digital identity systems. The Executive Director of the Data Protection Commission, Dr. Arnold Kavapo, warned that the improper access to or disclosure of sensitive information, including health records and biometric data, undermines public confidence in essential services.
In today's digital economy, personal data is more than information. It shapes identity, access, opportunity, and trust. When data is misused or poorly protected, it is not just systems that fail, people are affected. The team therefore reflects our focus on placing the individual at the center of data governance while building the trust required for digital innovation, public services, and economic growth to thrive.
The Deputy Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, Mr. Mohamed Adam Suparu, said public confidence in digital identity systems, mobile money, and e-government services is directly linked to secure and responsible handling of personal data. He commended the Data Protection Commission for its nationwide public education initiatives, particularly the Privacy is Personal campaign.
The government remains committed to supporting the Data Protection Commission in carrying out its mandate, strengthening compliances across both the public and private sectors, and promoting responsible innovation. We encourage all institutions to work closely with the Commission to uphold the principle of the Data Protection Act.
The week-long observance is aimed at reinforcing public awareness and responsibility in safeguarding personal data as Ghana advances its digital transformation agenda.
We're back shortly with some more news. Don't go away.
Highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS and GES. Lab tested by Noguchi Medical, field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShea is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
Hi, I'm pleased to introduce to you Cancid Mixture, a herbal mixture for arthritic pain.
Arthritis, it's me. Cancid mixture, no, cancid mixture, no, cancid mixture.
Yeruba Biara na Nudruo, Morio ya, or arthritis, Cancid Mixture, or Benye Juma when you put your inside. I'm a pencil new gun.
And if you do, Bina, menu, on your market for, and your button, I want one menu for.
First baby am from one sanka. Senior Susan Bonnie Biara, Kongo doctor, and I report for FDA Med Safety App Nodo.
Enkatui FDA App Nodo.
Welcome back to Sun Business Story. The Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry has reaffirmed government's commitment to strengthening Ghana's industrial base, stabilizing prices and promoting import substitution. This followed a working visit to 3 major manufacturing firms at the Tema Free Zone Enclave, aimed at assessing operational capacities and engaging industry players on challenges affecting production costs and pricing.
The inspection tour took the minister and her team to CBI Ghana, producers of Super Sem Cement, Cements de la Free Ghana CIMAF, and Ryder Steel. At CBI Ghana, management revealed that since operations began in 2016, the company has invested about $145 million into the Ghanaian economy. Discussions at CIMAF focused on pricing, quality assurance, safety standards, gender inclusion, and the impact of macroeconomic pressures on production costs. Management disclosed that the company operates one of the largest cement grinding plants within the Pan-African Group with an installed capacity of 2.2 million metric tons. The final stop was Ryder Steel, where the minister, Mrs. Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjari, reiterated government's industrial policy measures to ensure steady access to raw materials for local manufacturers. She reiterated the ban on the export of ferrous and non-ferrous scrap metals, describing it as a strategic move to support local steel production and boost capacity utilization.
Lately, I've been in the news of meetings with the steel manufacturers and cement manufacturers, asking them to produce according to standard, yet at good prices, because here we are lucky that the exchange rate has become stable after it's reduced, and so it is time for Ghanaians and investors alike to take a benefit of the stable cedi. And so I think that they did well last week by assuring us that they were not going to increase the price.
Across all 3 facilities, the minister emphasized that a strong and thriving private sector remains central to Ghana's industrialization agenda. She assured manufacturers of continued policy support, improved interagency collaboration, and government's commitment to promoting innovation to build a resilient and competitive manufacturing sector.
Members of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana are expected to discuss the sustainability of the domestic debt exchange program and its impact on the balance sheet of the central bank. Despite crucial role the program has played in stabilizing the cedi, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Johnson Esiama, believes the initiative must be reviewed.
The third consideration has to do with the role of the domestic gold purchase program in supporting stability and how critical this is going forward. While the program has played an important and deliberate role in strengthening external buffers, members will need to consider how its timing, its sustainability, and the balance sheet implications, all these should inform the calibration of policy and the ongoing policies to build reserves. Then the fourth and final consideration is about our external scrutiny and data integrity. Members, the upcoming IMF review in April 2026 will be based on end December 2025 data. So this committee is therefore among the very first to rigorously assess the indicators central to program performance. As usual, these are notably on inflation, on reserve accumulation, and adherence to zero central bank financing, including the transparent recognition of legacy and policy-mandated quasi-fiscal activities. So at its core, this meeting is not about whether conditions have improved, because yes, they clearly have.
Gold prices have surged to a new all-time high of $5,100 per ounce, driven by rising geopolitical tensions and global uncertainty. Speaking to GBC News, US-based economist William Salvery says the trend presents a major opportunity for Ghana, urging the country to strategically position herself in the global gold market.
As long as the current conditions or the prevailing condition, as long as they exist, the trend will remain. Now, the only way you will know that the trend will reverse is if conditions that are causing the price of gold to go up begins to begin to experience some changes. For example, if you have a situation where there is less conflict or less tension in the world, that might be one indication. If you have, for example, there is currently something going on in the United States that's very telling. Because of the policies the Trump administration, there is certain uncertainty that has been established at the level of the Federal Reserve in the United States. The current chairman of the Federal Reserve is being sued by the administration. There are rumors that the next Federal Reserve chairman that will be appointed may be more sympathetic to a decrease to a cut in the rate of interest, as has been demanded by the President of the United States. And if this happens, it is anticipated that the European Central Bank will also cut interest rate, and therefore the cut in interest rate will bring down the value of the US currency, according to the theory that is used in the market economy. And less cut in interest rate, less demand for US dollars, devaluation of the US dollars, therefore increasing the price of gold. So you have all of those elements that are really acting upon the price of gold and keeping the pressure upward. And I do not foresee any changes taking place in these policy decisions.
Time now for interbank and commodity prices for the day.
Going to the library.
Okay. I'm going for my graduation. Go well.
Education changes stories, and being part of these stories is the real passion for us. MTN.
Choco no me tia, mama, name me bestie.
China hot, it's sweet oh. Great new taste for the inside. Oh no more banu ahun. Yeah, can when the hot water pet. Mix it China hot, it be yo. Promising to the guy. Oh no more banu ahun. Eba pesta die, it be jet. Master China mixy oh mixy, mixy. Great new taste there mixy, mixy, mixy choco, mixy coffee. Ninya na ube feel. Mixy oh mixy, mixy. Great new taste there mixy, mixy, mixy choco, mixy coffee. FDA aje edwedi enkrato ya tu.
MedShay, natural mosquito repellent, highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS and GES, lab tested by Noguchi Medical, field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShay is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
Hello, good evening. You're welcome to the Energy News segment. My name is Mabel Anang. Despite the closure of the Sustainable Use of Natural Resources and Energy Finance SUNREF program, government is exploring alternative climate initiatives to meet Ghana's renewable energy targets. The SUNREF program coordinator, Mr. Ebenezer Ashi, told Energy News that high interest rates posed a major challenge to the effective implementation of the program, limiting access to affordable financing for renewable energy and energy efficiency projects.
There are other climate initiatives that the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, is exploring. The one with the KFW facility, then the African Development Bank. All those green financing initiatives are currently in the pipeline. One of the challenges is the high interest rate. In fact, that's why going forward, as a country, we just want to ensure that any climate financing, that we are assessing, we will no longer look at maybe putting up a cap on the interest rate, which will be more beneficial to end users.
The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, is defending the fuel price floor policy, describing it as a necessary stabilization tool in a downstream petroleum market that is weakened by regulatory gaps and non-compliance. In an article titled, Price Floor in Perspective, a Call for Structural Market Cleanup, COMAC argues that while fuel price deregulation has improved efficiency and reduced government subsidy burdens, it has also exposed deep structural weaknesses in the sector.
COMAC assessment, the market is heavily oversaturated with more than 229 licensed oil marketing companies and LPG marketing companies competing in what it calls economically unsustainable price wars. The situation, it knows, has enabled aggressive undercutting, tax evasion, and the persistence of dormant and non-compliant licenses, undermining industry sustainability and government revenue. The industry-backed price floor, introduced in April 2024, was designed to curb destructive competition, enforce pricing discipline, and protect statutory taxes and levies. COMAC estimates that about 15% of downstream fuel volumes, nearly 1 billion litres annually, are handled by operators who evade taxes and regulatory obligations. Using the National Petroleum Authority's pricing formula for the 16th and 31st January 2026 selling window, COMAC explains that the average ex-pump cost to oil marketers stands about 10 cedis 2 pesos per litre for petrol and 11 cedis 18 pesos per litre for diesel, including marketers' operational margins. The published floor prices for the same period are 9 cedis 80 pesos for petrol and 10 cedis 47 pesos for diesel. COMAC warns that selling fuel below these levels is commercially unsustainable and increases the risks of tax default, regulatory breaches, and financial distress across the sector. Beyond the price floor, the Chamber is calling for a comprehensive clean up of the downstream market, Key recommendations include revoking licenses of non-operational markets, tightening entry and financial capacity requirements, strengthening enforcement through regulated sanctions, and deploying digital monitoring tools such as automatic tank gauging system. COMAC added that the price floor alone is not long-term solutions. It says only decisive regulatory reforms, stronger monitoring, and the removal of dormant licenses will create a fair, competitive, and sustainable petroleum market that protects consumers and ensure government revenue.
That's all for Energy News. Health News is up next. My name is Mabel, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to the health segment brought to you by Trust Jehovah Herbal Clinic and Yamvita. The Akwawubana Chips compound, which was abandoned in 2016, has finally been completed, inaugurated and handed over to the community and the Yilo Krobo Municipal Health Directorate for use. The said Chips compound was one of 4 such and 1 nurses' quarter built by the Yilo Krobo Municipal Chief Executive, Francis Ado Akumate, with support from the Eastern Regional Minister, Rita Awate, and the MP for Yilo Krobo, Dr. Albert Tete Nyakwete. It is to ensure quality healthcare delivery in deprived communities in the municipality. During the unveiling of the project, the Yilo Krobo MCE commended the GBC News correspondent, Michael Kofi Kenete, for his instrumentality in the completion and inauguration of the project. School authorities of Pampaso Teshi Primary School in the Eastern Region have appealed to WASH advocate World Vision Ghana to provide the school with a decent sanitation facility. The authorities made the request after watching WASH Hour, a current affairs program on GBC News.
Lacks basic sanitation facilities, posing a health risk to pupils and teachers. The school's authorities say they are calling on all benevolent organizations, especially WASH advocates, World Vision, to help put up a toilet facility for the school. They made the appeal through WASH Hour, GBC News current affairs program that highlights issues on water and sanitation. The chief and people of Panpanso believe that channeling their appeal through GBC News or GTV, which has nationwide coverage, will get them the results they need.
Yes, World Vision for Abeba toilet. And I say, Sue Ampoa, Yenibeji, Ninachin, Yamia Dumoa, Moaba best line, Yenny Moodin, Mijidisa, and Moabeba.
Some parents complained that due to lack of a toilet facility in the school, their wards come home intermittently to attend to nature's call.
We are calling out to World Vision and all other stakeholders who can help us. We are making an appeal for them to come and help us with our toilet facilities because it is in a very bad condition. When the kids go there and then they come back to the classrooms, the scent and other things, it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Ubisa mamu sombe yomu huye ya best omu se omu ye mwa ewo ya manu mu.
The segment was brought to you by Trust Jehovah Clinic and Yamvita. Sports. In sports, the senior national women's table tennis team, the Black Loopers, have discovered their opponents for the ITTF World Team Table Tennis Championship Finals London in 2026, following the release of the Stage 1B draw.
The ITTF World Team Championship Finals is one of the most prestigious events on the international table tennis calendar, bringing together the world's best national teams to compete for global honors. Ghana has been placed in Group 14, where the Black Loopers will face Puerto Rico, Austria, and Angola in what promises to be a competitive group at the global showpiece scheduled for London. The draw sets the stage for exciting encounters as Ghana prepares to test its strength against teams from Europe, Americas, and Africa. Austria brings European pedigree and experience. Puerto Rico offers a growing presence on the international scene, whilst Angola represents a familiar African rivalry. Ghana's qualification and presence at the tournament highlights the steady progress of table tennis in the country, particularly in the women's game. As preparations intensify, the Black Loopers will be aiming to make a strong impression in the stage and advance to the knockout rounds, carrying the hopes of the nation onto the world stage in London 2026.
That's all in this package, but before we end the news, here is a brief announcement. The NLA regrets to announce that due to a technical challenge that is being resolved, the NLA draw for today, Tuesday, 27th January 2026, will not come on. It will take place tomorrow, Wednesday, 28th January 2026, alongside the midweek draw. Sorry for the inconvenience caused. That's all in this package. I am Rahmatu Mahmoud Jawando with Robert Frimpong Manso, who translated the news into sign language. Good evening.